Hi, this is Dr. Swapna, and I welcome you to your Learn Lab. If you are an IGNOU student looking for help in your studies, then you have reached the right place. Here, we have lecture videos on different core and elective subjects of important IGNOU courses. We aim to help you ace your exams. So, hit subscribe to our channel, and as you watch, make sure to like and share too. Come and join me on this beautiful learning journey.
Today, we are going to study juvenile delinquency. This is Unit 13 of Block 4. Juvenile delinquency means criminal or unlawful behavior shown by children and adolescents. This topic is important because children who commit crimes are not treated in the same way as adult criminals. Their behavior is influenced by their age, emotional development, family background, and surroundings. Juvenile delinquency is studied under forensic psychology because it involves both human behavior and law. Understanding why a child commits a crime helps society correct the behavior instead of just punishing the child and branding the child as a criminal forever. The objectives of this unit are very simple. After studying this chapter, you should be able to explain what juvenile delinquency is and why it occurs. You should also be able to identify different factors that increase delinquent behavior in children. Lastly, you should understand the role played by forensic psychologists in handling such juvenile delinquency cases. Earlier, juvenile delinquency was seen mainly as a social problem, meaning society believed that children misbehave because of their bad habits. But now we understand that it is also legal and psychological problem. Delinquency is viewed as a serious misbehavior with social consequences. Many juveniles commit acts such as theft, burglary, aggression and violence, uncontrollable emotions, and even substance abuse such as alcohol and drugs. These behaviors usually come from poor emotional control and lack of guidance from responsible elders. And if these behaviors are not corrected early, the child may become dangerous to the society later. That is why such juveniles are sometimes placed in children's homes or detention centers. The aim is not punishment but to control their behavior and help them improve. So basically, the laws on juvenile delinquency is all aimed at correction and rehabilitation rather than just punishment. So, what is juvenile delinquency? Juvenile delinquency refers to crimes committed by children below 18 years of age. And in India, a child between 7 to 18 years of age who violates the law as per Children's Act or IPC or CPO or like today it is BNS or Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita are considered as juvenile delinquents. Individuals above 18 years are treated as adult criminals. For example, if a 15-year-old steals a mobile phone, the child is not treated as an adult criminal. Instead, the juvenile justice system handles the case. And once a person crosses 18 years of age, and then if they commit the same crime, they are treated as an adult criminal. Because children are still developing mentally and emotionally, the law believes that they can be corrected with the correct guidance. Delinquency still is socially unacceptable as it violates societal norms and values. What are the types of juvenile delinquents? Juvenile delinquents are mainly of two types. The first type includes children who commit serious crimes, crimes which are similar to what is done by the adults, such as murder or violent assault. These offenders are called serious offenders. In such extreme cases, the court may decide to try the juvenile as an adult. Because if the person is capable of thinking, planning, and committing such a heinous crime that only an adult can do, in such cases, the person should be treated as an adult in court also. Right? The second is called status offenders. These are behaviors that are not crimes if done by an adult but are illegal for children, such as drinking alcohol before the legal age, driving before attaining the age of 18 years, truancy, which is skipping school or breaking curfew rules. All of these are status offences, which means when done by an adult, it might not be a crime, but when it is done by a child, because the child has not attained a legal age, this will be an offense. And juvenile courts, the focus is always on rehabilitation and not punishment. What are the legal provisions available for juvenile delinquents? To protect and reform juvenile offenders, special laws such as Children Act were created. These laws provide facilities like reformatory schools and rehabilitation centers. And in these centers, children are given counseling, education, and discipline so that they can correct their behavior. The goal is to help them become useful and productive law abiding citizens instead of branding them as lifelong criminals. What are the risk factors contributing to delinquency? A risk factor is anything that increases the chance of a child becoming delinquent. And delinquency does not happen because of one reason alone. It usually happens due to a combination of biological or individual factors, psychological factors, and social factors. For example, a child with poor family support or learning difficulties and bad peer influence is more likely to show delinquent behavior. And so these risk factors vary with developmental stage of the child. Some juveniles outgrow delinquency, which means they stop their delinquent behavior as they grow older, while others continue the same behavior into adulthood. Some risk factors cannot be changed, such as gender or genetics, but other factors like family and environment, these can be improved and modified, right? So let's look at each of the risk factors in detail. First is the individual risk factors. Individual risk factors are related to the child's own characteristics. Children who show antisocial behavior from an early age, such as lying, stealing, violence, or fighting and destroying property, which is also called arson, they are more likely to become delinquent adults. Substance abuse is another major factor which comes under individual risk factors. When children start using drugs or alcohol early, their judgment and self-control reduces. The third factor that comes under individual risk factors are cognitive deficits. Cognitive problems like low intelligence, learning disabilities or learning deficits, poor attention and concentration, poor communication skills, all of these make it difficult for children to understand rules and social norms. So, the first we have individual risk factors. Under that, we have first early antisocial behavior, second is substance abuse, and third is cognitive deficits. Right? The second set of risk factors are psychological and neurobiological factors. Many delinquent children show psychological traits such as impulsivity, risk-taking behavior, poor self-control, and difficulty in managing anger and frustration. They act without thinking about consequences. Some children suffer from hyperactivity and ADHD, which causes restlessness and difficulty in focusing. During adolescence, the brain is still developing, especially areas that control emotions and decision making. So, they tend to have poor emotional regulation compared to adults. Brain injuries, poor nutrition, prenatal and perinatal complications, exposure to violence at an early age, all of these can damage brain functioning and increase delinquency or delinquent tendencies. So, these are all the psychological and neurobiological factors contributing to juvenile delinquency. The third set of factors contributing to delinquency is social factors. This includes family factors and peer factors. Family plays a very important role in shaping a child's behavior. Broken families, poor parenting practices, lack of supervision and discipline, child abuse and neglect, and parental criminal behavior. All of these increase delinquency risk in the children. Peer influence is especially strong during adolescence. If a child mixes with delinquent peers who drink, use drugs, or commit crimes, the child is more likely to copy that behavior. So, association with other delinquent peers substance using peer groups or friends who are already under substance abuse, and influence of older antisocial peers. All of these can again contribute to social factors increasing the risk of delinquency. Children with low self-esteem often try to gain acceptance by following the bad peer behavior, right? So these are the social factors. Then the fourth set of factors are community factors. Risk factors related to community conditions. Community factors include neighborhood and school environment. In poor or disorganized neighborhoods, there is less law enforcement and more exposure to crime and violence. So there is poor social control, high exposure to violence, and lack of monitoring. If children grow up seeing crime as normal, they may believe such behavior is acceptable. So similarly, schools with poor discipline and negative experiences increases the risk of delinquency. And by negative experiences, we mean bullying by peers or even elders in school environment. So such environments increase the likelihood of delinquency. So what is the role of forensic psychologists in such an environment? Forensic psychologists play a very important role in juvenile delinquency cases. They work in juvenile courts and rehabilitation centers. So in these places they'll be working with juveniles who are in conflict with the law. Their main goal is to understand the child's mental state and help in rehabilitation and reintegration back into the society. They assess emotional, behavioral and cognitive functioning to guide legal decisions. Functions of forensic psychologists. What we saw earlier was role of a forensic psychologist. So a forensic psychologist provides psychological treatment to juvenile and their family. They evaluate whether a juvenile should be tried as an adult or as a child. They check for mental illness, if the juvenile is a risk to society, if the child is fit enough to stand trial, and if the insanity defense is true or not. They also provide counseling and therapy to juvenile and family to prevent repeat offenses so that the child does not repeat the same crime again, right? So they help them cope with the situation, help so that the behavior is not repeated, assist the court in deciding whether the person should be dealt with as a juvenile or as an adult, and they do the evaluation for all of these. The key assessment areas of a forensic psychologist are assessing psychosocial maturity, whether the child is mature enough to understand the crime that has been committed and or what is the consequence of it, whether there is a risk of reoffending, whether the child can go back to the same criminal behavior, assessing psychopathy and antisocial traits, whether there is a tendency for psychopathic traits and emotional instability, whether there was a peer influence, whether whatever the crime was committed was because of an influence from a peer or an adult. And they also assess for impulsivity and future orientation towards crime, repeating the same crime or some other form of crime, and whether there was mens rea or an actual criminal intent to harm someone. Besides performing assessment, a forensic psychologist also makes a rehabilitation and prevention plan. For this, they screen the juvenile for substance abuse, whether they have been using alcohol or active illegal drugs, whether there is a chance of repeating the same offense again. They make up a plan for mental health treatment in children's home itself so that they get a comfortable environment for the treatment. They also help in promoting education and employment. The goal here is to convert the juvenile into a responsible citizen. It is a long-term reform, not fear-based punishment. So, to sum up, juvenile delinquency refers to crimes committed by children below 18 years of age. It's caused by multiple risk factors such as individual traits, family problems, peer pressure, and poor community environment. and the juvenile justice system focuses on rehabilitation, and forensic psychologists play a key role in assessment and reform.
Thank you all for learning with me. If you found the video helpful, make sure you let me know by hitting the like button. Make sure you share the video with your friends too. Subscribe to make sure that you don't miss out on any of the new videos. You can reach me by simply dropping a comment. See you in the next one. Till then, happy learning.